What's up, Mona? Can you hear me?
Yes, dear. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine. It's good to see you again.
It's so good seeing you. How you been?
Just coping and
Yeah,
praying. And
yeah.
yourself and your family?
We're all good. We're staying quarantined. Well, the kids and the wife are staying quarantined. I come here to the office 3 days a week. I'm the one who goes
Okay.
out.
I've been watching your family. I think I Facebook with your family, so I've been watching some of your adventures.
Yeah, my wife just gave the boys haircuts.
Yeah, they look pretty good. It's the nature of the world for the moment.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Wow, just eating more than I should. Watching a lot of TCM. I like old movies, and doing a lot of praying and working with my mentor, my bishop.
What movies have you seen recently?
Anything Betty Davis does. I saw Jezebel. I saw Now Voyage. Anything she does. I've been watching a lot of her counterpart.
Joan Crawford?
Yeah, Joan Crawford. Seen a lot of her early movies. I mean, it's something to do.
The only thing I know of Joan Crawford is, why, Christina? No more wire hangers.
It's interesting. That's what most people seem to remember her by. But her early career was pretty fascinating. She was a stunning, beautiful woman. And the other thing I watch is a lot of BBC. I always say, no one kills better than the English. No one does. They take 30 years to get you, but they're patient people.
So, what do you miss most about working at ANC?
I miss my coworkers terribly. I never thought the day would come when I would actually say that because we're all quite eccentric. I tremendously miss our management team. I think that Duane and Loretta, you have to sit back to appreciate, to meander and manage at Arlington. We're like a little island, and we're between the constricts of the contract and whatever the Army requires of us. But it's a fascinating place to work at. So I miss all of that.
I've been here 20 years, and the whole time that I've been here, Duane has pretty much worked here. There's nobody I respect here more than Duane Gillis.
Yes, he started out, well, you were my head conductor and he was my trainer. I went over to Arlington for three reasons. The management team, I'd gotten to know Loretta. And I went over to also honor my parents. Both my mother and father are at Arlington. So I went over there for a couple of spiritual reasons as well.
Have you gained any new skills? Have you learned a foreign language yet?
No foreign language. I have learned some skills. These video games, some of my friends, they do all the time. I never did them. I found them boring, but I've been doing video games on my phone, and I've been reading a lot, just enhancing some historical data. Because when you're away from history, you forget it. So I've just been reinforcing.
So when we come back, because we're going to come back, right?
Sure.
When we come back, what do you think you're going to change about your tour?
One of the historians came on Facebook the other day, Tim, that we work with, and he kind of simplified. Arlington is not simplified, it's glorified. He talked about that the grave markers represent ordinary people. And I think when we get wrapped up sometimes in the pomp and circumstances and rank, he made a point. There are ordinary people who never thought of their place in history. And for many of them, their place in history is cemented after the honors that they did for this country, and they're no longer with us. So there are a lot of tweaks I would do. So it's been a good time to be away, to reinforce why I'm over there in the first place.
So when do you think we're going to reopen?
Probably not until the end of June.
What's your favorite trolley memory?
The first time I went over to Iwo Jima, was the first night I'd ever done a night tour. And it was during a time when you couldn't take pictures, well, you still can't, of the entrances to military bases. Fort Myers has a main gate there. And I had said to my guests repeatedly, and the windows were up, please don't take photos of the entrance of Fort Myers. Please don't take photos. Well, the guests decided to take photos. And just as we're getting close to Iwo, the police surround the vehicle. And you talk about serious. They got on that vehicle with their weapons drawn and said, you all know you're not supposed to be taking pictures. And they're looking at me, at my guests. And, I thought, I can't believe this. How do I explain this to my seniors, you and Eric? It was, they held us there for about 40 minutes. And no, I was not warm and friendly to my guests, because when the police got off, I said to them, I said you couldn't take pictures.
That's the funniest story I think I've heard.
Yes. Yeah, it was, trust me, it was hilarious too at the time.
What movie completely scarred you as an adult?
Probably Dracula.
The Bela Lugosi Dracula?
No, the more recent one. Well, I don't know how recent it was. And it was a more modern take on Dracula. And Gary Oldman, I believe, was the Dracula. And it was a more modern Dracula, although he still lived in Transylvania. And it was the scariest of them.
Being a movie buff, you love classic movies.
Hmm.
What movie would be greatly improved if it was made into a musical?
Probably Jezebel. Takes
What
place during the Civil War, just as the Civil War is about to start.
What is something that you recently realized that you are embarrassed of but didn't realize it earlier?
Probably sometimes speaking before I've heard the entire question, and so I got pushback by the person who was asking me the question.
And it
I
just
thought,
happened.
okay. Yes.
All right, let's say you're a mad scientist. What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
Having some of my colleagues who work at Arlington during the day, but have this thing about being at Arlington at night because they think that there are ghosts in Arlington. So probably locking them in and then coming, they don't mind working as long as it's light, but I don't want to be in Arlington when it's dark.
If someone asked to be your apprentice and learn all that you know, what would be the first thing you would teach them?
I would teach them to be patient, to understand that I'm realizing that they may not learn at the same pace I'm learning, but I always want them to be better than me.
If you were held in gunpoint and told that if you didn't impress them with your dance moves, you would be killed, what dance moves would you bust out?
Probably the electric slide.
The electric slide?
Yeah, the country and western version.
Do you know any other country line dancing?
No, that's about it.
Mona, is there anything you want to say to out there, people watching the cast?
Just hang in there. This too shall pass. But because I'm also a minister, I think back to the story of Job, and however one looks at religion, God told the devil, "You can do anything you want to Job, but you cannot kill him because I made him." And at the end, Job came out even better materialistically, but he was always faithful. And it's faith that I stand on, and it's faith that will get us through.
I miss you. I'll see you when you come back.
All right, I'll make sure I run and give you a big hug and kiss.
But only at 6 feet away.